Welcome back to another video. In a previous video, I talked about how if the price of fuel increases, that it's going to put some owner-operators out of business if they don't slow down. In this video, I'm going over the math. I'm going to do the homework for you. I'm going to prove it to you that as the price of fuel goes up, you should slow down. So, stick around. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is Trucker Tools. Trucker Tools is doing some amazing things for the trucking industry as a whole. If you're a company driver, there's so many features on that application that are going to make your job easier. But what they're really doing, and what's really impressed me, is what they're doing for owner-operators. They're working with these brokers, they've got a load board, they have Book It Now features. They guarantee that in the Book It Now features, the loads will not be double booked. And they're integrating so many new things that I can't quite get into yet. I can't wait until I can, but I'm just telling you, it is the wave of the future. So you should download this application right now. Link is in the description box down below. Familiarize yourself with it, because guys and gals, they're not going anywhere, and they are the wave of the future. So anyway, let's get into the video. The video that I posted, it was attention owner operators. You're gonna go out of business if you don't do this, something along those lines. And in trucking, I've said this many times in many different videos, trucking is cyclical. So it means that history repeats itself, okay? That's a fancy word for saying history repeats itself. And as fuel prices go up, the amount of truck drivers, or the amount of owner-operators that wind up going out of business also increases. It's just the way that it is. Now, but here's the thing. The owner-operators, the truck drivers that are in the know, they actually wind up making more money as the price of fuel goes up, which sounds counterintuitive. It very much does. So the correlation here is that generally, when the price of fuel goes up, so do the freight rates. It's not always the case. Look back at 2008. 2008, the freight rates actually wound up staying the same as the fuel prices went through the roof. That was a recession, obviously. And I don't think that's necessarily the norm. If we happen to enter into a recession, I mean, kind of everybody's screwed. Not much you can do about that. But if we're just in a cycle where the price of fuel is going to go up and the freight rates go up as well, you can actually capitalize on this and you can make more money. Now, intuitively, just kind of thinking about this very quickly, you would think that if the price of freight goes up, that you want to run faster and make more money. You want to make more miles, so that way you can make more gross revenue. The problem with that is, as your biggest cost to truck drivers, to owner-operators, as it goes up, your net actually decreases. So this is what you've all been waiting for. This is what all the naysayers, I'm sure, are on their edge to hear. But let's get into the actual math. Okay, I can't do this math off the top of my head, so I've got to pull out the calculator, the calculadora. So let's say that an owner-operator averages 90,000 miles a year. Okay, 90,000 miles a year. Now my truck, I can easily get about 7.5 miles per gallon and that's not slowing down to a snail speed. That's not saying that I'm doing 55 everywhere I go. I would actually be higher in the miles per gallon range. But I would easily get 7.5 miles per gallon just by watching my boost gauge and driving by my foot, not the cruise control, and watching my speed. So at 7.5 miles per gallon, it's an easy number. It comes out to 12,000. Okay, so that means over the course of a year, if I run 90,000 miles, 12,000 gallons is how much I'm purchasing. Now we're going to use whole numbers here. Okay, the actual price of fuel does not matter. In this math equation, what we're looking for is what increases, okay? Does it go up? Does it go down? And what we're talking about is the output of revenue at the end. Is it worth the extra miles? The actual prices don't matter. We're gonna be reasonable here. So we're gonna figure this out at $3 per gallon. That's 36,000 bucks that I'm spending per year on fuel. Now, let's say that I bump that up, I run an extra 1,000 miles a month. An extra 1,000 miles, that's a lot. I don't care what you say, that's a lot. And in that extra 1,000 miles, now I'm running, you know, I'm booking it. I'm getting everywhere as fast as I can. I'm accelerating quickly. I'm trying to keep that, you know, that miles per hour average up. But now, my average drops all the way down to 5.5 miles per gallon. And it can drop lower. If I'm up in North Dakota and I'm loaded down heavy and I've got a headwind, I think I've got like 4.2 miles per gallon, you know, running up there. And I wasn't even going fast at that point. So anyway, at 5.5 miles per gallon, at that same $3 per gallon cost, now I'm buying $55,636, or spending $55,636 on fuel for that year. Now you take away that original $36,000, you're spending an extra $19,636 on fuel. Okay, 19.6. Let's just make it even numbers. 19.6. So 19.6. Well, remember, we've ran an extra 12,000 miles, and we're going to figure this out at an average rate for all miles is $2 per mile. If you're averaging more than $2 per mile on all of your miles, congratulations, you're amongst the few. I know there's going to be people in the comments that say, oh, I do this and I do that and I do this. You have to look at the averages in the industry as a whole. You can't look at the anomalies. It's a bell curve, okay? We have to be here. Granted, yeah, half of you are going to be this way. But guess what? The other half are going to be this way. And we have to include everybody. We can't just look at the guys that are averaging 274 per mile. That's great, fantastic, good for you. You've probably been doing this a while, or you're lucky, or you're smart and you know what you're doing in the trucking industry. Whatever the case may be, it really doesn't matter. We have to look at the averages. So, on that extra 12,000, you're now making an extra 24,000, but we've spent 19,600. So you've made an extra $4,400. Well, 20% of that's going off with Sam, so really you've made an extra $3,500. An extra $3,500, but we have not figured in the extra maintenance cost, the extra downtime because you're going to be in the shop more, and we also haven't figured out the value on how quickly now you're wearing out your truck and you're going to need to buy another one. All of these things have value. Those intangibles, or not intangibles, but those quotients are often forgotten. People just look at it and they think, oh, well, I'm making an extra $24,000 a year. Well, yeah, sure, you are gross, but you have to do the math. This is a business. You are running a business. You're not just a truck driver. These numbers matter, okay? For an extra $3,500, is that worth it over the entirety of a year? You're making an extra $300 a month. Actually, not really, because we still haven't figured in all the other costs. So these costs are wearing out your truck and costing you more money. But let's just say, okay, you've made an extra $3,500. Good for you. Now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna redo this equation, and we're gonna look at it as the price of fuel is now $4 per gallon. That's a 33% increase, excuse me. A 33% increase. All right? Now, what we're gonna have to figure out here though, is if fuel goes up by 33%, well, what's the fuel charge gonna go up by? 33%? I'll tell you what, we'll do one better than that. How about we double it? We can double that number and we can still do this math equation, and you're still gonna be shocked at the results. So on an extra, let's go ahead and get this out there. On a 1,000-mile run, you're now getting paid an extra 30 cents per mile. Sorry. And at that average of $2 per mile, you're making an extra 300 bucks. Is that right? Yeah. Brain fart. Too much math. Haven't mathed in a long time. So that extra 1,000 miles, you're making an extra $300 on a $2,000 run. Remember, averages. So you're making a little over 10%. I don't know what's the math on that. Whatever the math is on that. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's not 33% more. It's not gonna happen. So I did that to show you in this equation where I get my numbers from so you can understand. So now we're running the same 90,000 miles. We're getting the same 7.5 miles per gallon, but now $4 per gallon for fuel. I'm spending $48,000 now in fuel. Ouch. All right, we're gonna take the same 102,000 miles that we ran, but now 5.5 miles per gallon times 4. $74,181 on fuel alone. Have mercy. So subtract the 48,000. That means you're spending an extra $26,181. 26,100 extra on fuel at just a 33% increase. Well, your extra 12,000 miles that you ran, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. I've already given you the benefit of the doubt saying you're averaging $2 per mile for all miles. Now I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you have increased your revenue by 5% total. That's total. For you to increase your bottom line by 5% is huge. That's only an extra 10 cents per mile. 10 cents per mile doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But it's a 5% increase in revenue. So 12,000 times 2.1 is $25,200. You're in the hole. You're actually in the red already. Because what was it, 26.1 roughly? Actually, it was almost 26.2. We'll call it 26.1. You're in the hole $900. Not to mention all the extra maintenance that you have to do. Well, the price of everything goes up when the price of fuel goes up, because the price of transportation goes up, and everything has to get, the stuff has to be transported, right? You should know that, you're a truck driver. So the cost of everything goes up. It's pretty simple. There's the math in black and white. If you don't understand that concept, I hope you do now. If you don't, listen to this a few times. It might take a few times for it to sink in. But the difference here in the increase of fuel prices is about $4,500. $4,500 swing to the negative. And that's if you just stay the same. If you slow down, you can see the vast importance in how much money you are saving, how much you are netting. It is not about how much you make. It is about how much you net. Net is the goal here. How much you take home, how much you put in your pocket when all is said and done. That is the only thing that matters in the trucking business. That's it. That's it. Gross is just a brag. I hope this helped. If it did, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. Share it with a friend that might need this message. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe. But as always, guys, stay driven.